Good morning. Welcome back into Colatown, our city, our stories. I am so happy you are with us here on this Monday morning. Really appreciate you hanging out with us and spending some time. So we have the opportunity to talk about something very, very exciting that's coming up. Again, I didn't realize it was already here, but sure enough, Black Expo 2026 is upon us. And in the studio with us, Darrin Thomas, ready to talk a little bit about it and hang out a little bit with us from now until 10 o'clock. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Really glad to have you hanging out with
here.
Me.
Absolutely.
It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah. So let's start first. Take me through your role.
Yep.
And I don't want to talk anything about the expo just yet. I want to first talk about Darrin because I always like to let our listeners at Colatown get to know a little bit about who's in the studio with us.
Absolutely.
And why you're here and why you're passionate about what you're doing and that kind of stuff. So let's start with that.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about you.
All right. So, Kev, I'm a Florence boy. I grew up on a tobacco farm in rural Florence County. Graduated from the university in 1987, worked for the U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Aviation and Transportation, did that for a minute, moved to Charlotte, took a job with Xerox, and decided to hop in the entrepreneurial space back in 1991. And I started producing a resource guide, a publication, which was really designed to give visibility to small minority-owned businesses in hopes that those businesses would do well. And in doing so, it would benefit the entire community, not specifically the African-American community, just the entire community, because when those businesses do well, they bode well for the entire marketplace and tax base, hiring, all of those things. So we saw that there was a void in the marketplace and started creating this resource guide. We did it in Charleston, we did it in Columbia, and it was interesting, Kev. We just had an explosion in the mid-'90s where we had communities calling us, and we grew pretty quickly we had 12 offices in the Southeast, and from Virginia to Florida. And it was really interesting because the premise was the same in that many of the municipalities that we worked with saw a need to help these small minority-owned businesses do well. And again, they started calling us. And in the midst of that, being a true entrepreneur, we saw several other business models that we thought would mesh well with what we were doing. And we started asking our small businesses, our major companies at the time, the Scanners of the world, the Wachovia, how could we be an interface with you and small businesses? And everyone wanted more B2C or B2B opportunities. So the whole trade show, Black Expo concept, we actually looked at several business models around the country and said, you know what, we can replicate that here. The numbers suggest that, it could thrive, it could do well, and at the same time, it could be meaningful and impactful for the community. So yeah, that's kind of, and it's hard to believe, man. It's 29 years later. Yeah. People say, how'd you sustain that? And I said, it's God's grace, and it was the right time, and we've had some incredible partners. And believing in the vision and understanding the concept.
I love it, and I love where it was and where it's at because, the growth has been wonderful.
Absolutely.
And obviously the community involvement and the footprint,
Absolutely.
if you would, in the community has just been so positive. One of the things that I say this, and I want to make sure I say this the right way. The original perception is we need a Black Expo because we need a Black Expo.
Right.
Now we have a Black Expo because we have a Black Expo.
Exactly.
And I want people to understand what I mean by that. And you tell me if I'm wrong.
Nope.
We need a Black Expo because, Black businesses aren't getting a chance. Black businesses aren't getting this and aren't getting that. And it's just too hard to make it.
Right.
And that's when we needed that as a start. Now it's thriving. It's going really well. And look, I don't care what, black, blue, purple,
Absolutely.
green, or whatever. Everybody needs help when they're first launching something
Absolutely.
and have that entrepreneurial spirit.
No
I get
question.
that. But now Black Expo has turned into something where, a little chest thumping a little bit more,
Absolutely.
And it's not just hey, now it's, we've done really well, and what can we do to go to that next level?
Absolutely.
Fair?
Very fair, very fair. And I'll even go a step further. Kev, we have non-African American owned businesses or non-minority owned businesses who also use this trade show to also reach this segment of the marketplace because they understand there's a viability segment there. I was talking with the guys from Leaf Gutters, and I'm like, they said, Darrin, you don't understand. A huge part of our marketplace is reaching the segment of the market who's in the need for home improvement. And for an event of this magnitude, where you've got 16,000 people who are very serious in that space in terms of how they spend their dollars, where they spend their dollars, massaging those relationships. He said it's critical. And he said, we've done it for 4 or 5 years, and it's proved to be beneficial.
Yeah.
And Kev, you're right. We're at that point because we have it. It thrives,
right? And
we have seen that with so many different entities that have come in to work with us and say, hey, Darrin, we've looked at what you all have done, and we want to test this at the Expo because we've seen the viability of those persons who are attending, their household income, their buying decisions, and that impacts us.
Sure.
I'll give you a great example, Kev. We, as a true Colombian, I struggle with business travel and people traveling to Charlotte to fly out of the Charlotte airport. So I went to the Columbia airport and I talked with the folks there, and I said, listen, I fly out of Columbia. We have 4 nonstop destinations. And out of fairness, Kev, we have a relationship with the Charleston Expo with our Charleston event. So when I went to the Columbia airport and I said, hey, why don't we use this event? Our data suggests that there are a lot of people who fly out of Columbia or who fly, period, and have decisions that they're making regarding travel. I said, here's the thing. Help us or allow us to help you promote those nonstop destinations. Let me help plant that seed with this market. So I went to the airport and I said, hey, let's use the Expo to really promote Dallas, Chicago, New York, D.C., and those nonstops.
Right.
I said, because as so many people who travel for business or leisure, those are destinations that we can reach. So, here again, Kev, looking at an event where we have the number of people who travel into town for this event and plus those that are here,
right.
We were able to look at an entity here in the market and say, we believe that we can help in a way that it could really cement what we have and promote the best of our community.
Sure. I want to take it to another example of why this is a great expo. I know you're a big Gamecock fan.
Yep.
Okay. In fact, you and I, you got your Gamecock coffee cup here. You and I were talking about
absolutely,
the old days with under Coach Holtz and how the program has changed and this and that. And we were having that talk during the break. And but here's the thing: the way I look at the Black Expo is the same way I look at it as a Gamecock fan. Let me tell you what I mean by that.
Okay.
Let's just take my radio station. I will love to have an advertiser who's a Gamecock fan, but do you think that a Clemson fan's money's not green too? So what I'm saying is,
absolutely.
It doesn't matter if it's the Black Expo. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a segment of the population that needs to be served.
That's right.
And so
absolutely.
All that, and again, I'm not sitting here other than what you've taught me and what I've learned from others in the community is all you want to make sure that people realize, hey, our money spends.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We are consumers.
Absolutely.
Show us what you got and let us have buying power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kev, going back, the Selig Center at the University of Georgia's Terry College of Business did their annual buying power survey, and collectively in South Carolina, I think last year the buying power of African Americans in the state of South Carolina had reached, $38 billion.
Thank you.
Kev.
Thank you.
Kev, that's
right?
significant.
Of course it is.
And here's what I say to would-be supporters. I said, if this segment of the population that has that kind of buying power and are making buying decisions on a daily basis, if that's important to you, then I would say to you, you need to consider having a presence or being a part of this initiative? I said, because at the end of the day, money's green.
Yeah.
And, our job is to make certain we position small businesses, minority-owned businesses in a position to be successful, and at the same time help our partners reach consumers, minority consumers or consumers in general who are just, saying, hey, our dollars, we're spending them. In as you said, Kev, hey, show us what you got.
Yeah.
We want to see, we want to understand how it benefits us. Period.
Yeah. I think that's all. I don't care, again, whatever segment of the population we're talking to. In this case, obviously, we're talking about Black Expo and African Americans, but any segment of the population just wants to feel like they got a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
No
question.
And again, that's why there's a need for this, because some people will say, well, why not just have an expo? Why does it have to be a black? No, you just want to feel like you got a seat at the table, and you want to be able to flex a little bit, because, again, the buying power is there. It's been studied. It's been documented. This is not something that just we're throwing a theory out there.
Absolutely.
This is the real deal. And so, again, I've avoided the whole first segment getting into the specifics of Saturday. The whole second segment, we're going to talk all about Saturday. Right. But I wanted to take this time because I wanted to remind folks about why you're here.
Absolutely.
And why we have watched, like we talked about, something that started off as an absolute need in the community, and it's still a need because we want young entrepreneurs out there to feel like this is the place to come and to get started in there. But also, there have been a lot of people that have paved a lot of roads and a lot of barriers that have been broken, so that someone today can start and doesn't have to face the obstacles that 20 years ago, or in the case of Black Expo, 29 years ago, had to go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just think it's important to note that's don't feel like you can't use some of the things that have been knocked down, so you don't have to knock them down yourself. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
All right. Well, our first segment with Darrin in the books, but we'll come back. And our second segment, I want to focus on something awesome, which is the actual Black Expo. It's going to be this Saturday, and we're going to tell you everything you need to know about it. Stick around. Colatown continuing on a wonderful Monday in the Midlands. Thanks for listening here on The Point. Hey, welcome back in on Colatown. It's our final segment. Boy, it goes fast. But when you have great guests like Darrin Thomas, then it's going to go by quickly, because you get some folks in here who are so passionate about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it just comes through, Darrin. I appreciate your passion for what you're doing.
You.
So we got Black Expo.
Yep.
And it's not just a one-day thing, really. It's grown into a whole lot more than that. So take me through the whole schedule. And this is where I I get quiet, and this is your segment. Well, take me through where we're going.
All right, so Kev, actually, we start on Thursday. Thursday's our annual kickoff. This is where we honor our sponsors, and we do something really unique. It's at the State Museum.
Right.
It's a networking opportunity with our exhibitors, sponsors. But one of the things that we do, we host a Black-owned wine and spirit segment. Now, why do we do that?
Yeah.
Because we've had a history and a long relationship with the folks at Breakthrough Beverage, and before that, of course, Arnold Distributors.
Sure.
And, Kev, what happened a few years ago, Jack Daniels, the Brown-Forman family came to us and said, hey, we've been studying your event, and we like what you do, and we want to fashion a relationship with Black Expo. And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, we have done our research, and because you reach a viable segment of the market, we would like to sponsor some of your receptions. So Kevin, this is about 8-9 years ago, and it just really took off. We actually did a single barrel select. We did it, and we used it to support an entity. But out of that, and with the help of the Brown-Forman family, which, by the way, sponsors the Kentucky Derby, they said, Darrin, a lot of young African Americans are coming into the wine and spirit space. We want to help promote them.
Cool.
And Kev, and this is before the whole Nearest Green story broke with Uncle Nearest. And one of the stories is a young man, Maurice York. He's from South Carolina. Thursday night, he will launch his tequila. His tequila is El Yanga. It is a Esposado. It's out of, he bottles in Mexico, and he imports it in. But here's a South Carolina boy, born and reared in Clarendon County.
Wow.
Played football at Manning High School, and he's in this space where he's launching a tequila. And he said to us, he said, I need your event to give me a foothold in this space. So here again, while we kick off the Black Expo weekend, we're using it and we're being intentional. Friday night, Kev, is our annual Taste of Black Columbia. It's at the Columbia Museum of Art. We feature, with the help of Food Lion, South Carolina Department of Agriculture, we feature about 30 different African-American chefs, caterers, and restaurants. The whole idea is to give them visibility and to grow and to help these caterers, these chefs, launch their careers. Sure. We give an award of $1,000 for the best dessert, best savory dish, best display, and we have phenomenal music, a grand time. And then, Kev, the big day, Saturday. Yeah. At the State Fairgrounds. Yeah. It's interesting, Kevin, in our history, we first started, we were at the Carolina Coliseum, and old coach Mike McGee came to me and said, Darrin, no, we want you to move. We did it at Colonial Life Arena. Then City Father said, no, Darrin, we need you to move to the convention center. So we're at the convention center for a year. And now we're at the State Fairgrounds because we needed more space.
More space.
We've got.
Good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. We'll have over 120 exhibitors, workshops, live entertainment, fun for the entire family. We had a huge kids zone sponsored by Richland County Recreation Commission, but we got an incredible lineup. Kevin, we have the beloved Coach Dawn Staley as our guest speaker. She'll be doing a book signing. She will have a fireside chat. Then we've got Jonathan Majors, whom we all know from Marvel Comics, and his beautiful wife, Megan Good. They've launched an athletic wear line, and they selected Columbia, South Carolina as their launch in this event. Actor Lance Gross, Lisa Noel Smith, and the Brown Singers, which is a gospel quartet, which has the #1 quartet song in the gospel tracks now. Steve Ray Lattin from America's Got Talent, D1, all of this entertainment, exhibitors, vendors. Kev, our goal, we work with a local bank, Optus Bank, where we give out vouchers, $15 vouchers. They can win a voucher, and they spend the vouchers with those local businesses. We cash them out as a way of encouraging commerce in the marketplace. We have a great initiative with the South Carolina Education Lottery. Kevin, we created a lottery Black Expo scratch-off ticket. Now, here's the thing. We did it to really promote Life and Hope Scholars. So we've invited students, local college students who are recipients of the Life or Hope Scholars, to come in and tell their story as a beneficiary message, helping people to understand and families to position their kids for lottery-based scholars, taking the emphasis off the winning and more so on the beneficiary message. And Kev, we do this because I tell everyone that the mission of Black Expo is to educate, to enlighten, and empower. We focus on the 5 pillars: wealth generation, business development, jobs, education, and health. Kev, we got an incredible Kev, you remember the name Carlos Dunlap?
I do, of course.
All right. Carlos Dunlap has a foundation.
Does he?
He donated 500 women's bras, and because of the disproportionate rates of breast cancer in the African-American community, what we are doing, with the help of Prisma, we are encouraging women to get screened, and if they get screened or sign up for mammography, they get to go to the bra boutique and pick out 2 bras.
Lovely.
Free. And Kev, here's the thing. This was a great marriage with the Carlos Dunn. I still am not forgiving him for not coming to Carolina, but as a Gamecock fan, I'll let that go. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But he's redeemed himself with this. But this endeavor we've used, Kev, we lost one of our team members about 3 years ago to metastatic breast cancer. Right. And we're using this to honor Jermaine Bankhead and get women to register it. And Kev, our data with Prisma and MUSC, we have recognized that a large number of the people who come to our event have some type of health screening. We had a great partnership with Johnson & Johnson, Novo Nordisk, Genentech, Prisma, MUSC, USC School of Public Health. All of those entities play a huge role with our health footprint with Black Expo.
Yeah. You see how I downplayed when you asked me if I knew about Carlos Dunlap? You know why I did that?
Why, sir? Why, sir?
Because he went to Florida, and
I know.
I'm a Gator.
I know.
I was
I
just
know.
like, yeah, you forgave him for going somewhere.
That's
in
right.
Carolina. I was like thinking, yeah, he's a bit of a
Absolutely.
bad man.
He was a bad man.
Oh, he was a bad man.
Yeah.
Great football player. But I love that he has used
Absolutely.
the fame that came with the territory. I want more people to understand that's a great thing when you see athletes and former athletes that want to give back to their community. And you know what? He could have done this anywhere, but he's doing it here.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. And we're excited too because, you know, Kev, I'll tell anyone, demographically, you look at our makeup, 70% of my attendees are female.
Yeah.
And we drive that because they're the decision makers.
Right.
You know, my wife laughs and say, you know, hey, give me your checkbook. And I'm like, why? She said, are you kidding me? I get it. You know, because we so much of what we do, we make it a family-oriented event. However, much of what our appeal is targeted to the female base. We believe, and Coach Staley was huge for us. We had her in Charleston, Kev, back in March. And big shout out to Mayor Daniel Rickman, because we try to get Dawn Staley for the last 3 or 4 years, but historically she's always in Europe during this time after the season. But Mayor Rickman, in our conversation, he said, you know, why don't you have Dawn? You had her in Charleston. I said, I can never get it. He made the call, and she agreed to come. So big shout out to the mayor for making that happen. But she's such a good fit because
great ambassador.
Absolutely. Great ambassador.
Yeah.
Great ambassador. And she is what makes Black Expo a success because her presence supports our initiative and our mission.
I love it. I think it's phenomenal. I love the growth. I love the fact that there's so many different angles you guys have touched on to make this thing successful, to make everybody feel like they're welcome. And you might be basically catering to, as you say, 70% of your visitors are women, but it is a very friendly event, and there is something for everybody. And I want to make sure people know in our last minute here exactly how they can get tickets.
Absolutely.
And tell us exactly times, everything.
Certainly. First of all, to get tickets, go to our website, blackexposouth.com. blackexposouth.com. Our event on Thursday is from 6 until 8 at the State Museum. On Friday, 7:30 until 11 at the Columbia Museum of Art. And then the big day, Saturday, at the South Carolina State Fairgrounds from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. that afternoon.
Yeah, it's, again, this is an opportunity to turn something into a great weekend.
Absolutely.
And go out and be a part of, if you can't make all 3 events, at least make it to Saturday.
Absolutely.
Which is, you know, the biggie of the 3, and which is the one that really, really is the signature, obviously.
Absolutely.
It's the grand finale, obviously,
Yep.
to the event. But again, give the website one more time.
Certainly.
blackexposouth.com, right?
blackexposouth.com.
Right. All right. That's great stuff. I am so appreciative of you coming on.
Okay. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
Good to see
talk
you.
with you. Congratulations on the success for you and for the event and just the growth.
Thank you.
That doesn't happen without incredibly hard work.
Man,
so
God is good, man. Thank you,
amen,
brother.
amen. Proud of you and real happy for you. Saturday, big event. Go get them.
Absolutely.
Thanks. That's Colatown for this week. Appreciate everyone listening. We'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening to Colatown on The Point.